Oh shit! Oh, I started without the intro. Oh God! Oh, I'm so fired.
Way to go.
So fired. Wait, no, no, it's not good unless I do it with the intro. Hold on a minute.
Let's talk about it.
A second week in a row now I've done that. Second week in the row that
You're fired.
I'm fired. It happens. You know what? Take it out of my pay. Okay? Dock my pay.
Mama needs to make a car payment, so that is completely doable.
Whoa. Go easy. Wait a minute. You're not Katie.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Maybe I'm a doppelganger.
No, no. You look just like the woman I married.
Maybe I'm a shapeshifter.
Maybe. Oh my God. Who knows? By obvious circumstances, Katie is not with us tonight. She had very serious car trouble and broke down 3 hours from home, and she's probably still trying to make it home now. So she is not with us. The illustrious and esteemed, lovely lady that I married, Lori, is with us tonight, guys. We're great to have you.
Hey, y'all.
We
Hi, Georgia.
appreciate that.
Hi, Jen. Hi, Cassie. Babe, Carmen says you're fired and I'm a mimic. Hi, Yvonne. Hi, Ron.
All right, so that's great. You got a hold of everybody. You got a hold of Jen. Did you call out Jen?
I did.
Wow, you're fast. Guys, yeah, so we appreciate. Hey, Casey, what's going on? Cassie Katie is in the room.
Hi, Ann.
So, guys, hey, Ann. So we're just kind of getting ourselves started here a little bit. We wanted to kind of take a different look at the show tonight a little bit of a, yeah, we talked about just about everything. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of Monica in my life. Anyway, yeah, I just went too far with that, didn't I?
Hi, Stephanie.
Hey, what's going on, Stephanie? Ann, Mort, how's it going, buddy? Cassie said, "Hi, hey, beautiful lady." I know she's not talking to me.
She is. She's talking to you. You have to be careful with those pronouns now.
Oh yeah, forgot all about that crap. So guys, yeah, we came into it in a thought I had, and the vice chairman of the group and I kind of agreed on this being a good topic. Just passing through. So what does that mean?
AKA Paranormal Queen.
What?
AKA Paranormal Queen. You left out my
title.
title.
Also known as Paranormal Queen. It is no joke. She has a tiara. Okay. She has a tiara. Carmen, who's on this chat as well, is one of our lead investigators. She has a tiara.
Wanda has a tiara.
Everybody.
Autumn has a tiara.
Has a tiara.
You said I couldn't wear mine tonight.
No.
Hating on royalty.
Because you're all a paranormal princesses. And they've actually worn them at events, guys. So,
Stephanie, where's mine? Tell me you made some homemade bread to go with that.
Right? So we wanted to get a chance to talk about spirit behaviors. Yvonne Dixon said, I have a halo. I had one too. It's broken and tilted. So,
my horns hold mine up, Yvonne.
Mine is broken and tilted. So tonight's topic of discussion is spirit behavior. I think I've been hit so many times with those questions of why this, why that, why this, why that. So I think tonight, sorry, my throat's a little dry. I'm battling a little something. And so is the wife. So we're doing this because we're just crazy to be here. Hey, Judy. How's it going, Adam?
Hi, Tara.
Hey, Tara. How are you? Everybody's got all kinds of things coming in. Appreciate you guys coming out. So we wanted to talk a little bit about different behaviors of spirit activity, why it is the way it is. And this is all, the answers are based off of my 26 years of doing this and about 400 investigations. So I'm just going to throw it at y'all. Guys, again, content is all open to discussion here. So if you've got theories, questions, issues, throw them up. If they're relevant, I'll put them on a screen so we can talk about them. And I'd like to be able to just kind of handle some of them. So let's get into it a little bit.
Hi, Nadia.
Hey,
hi, Robin.
How's it going? Hey, Robin. How's it going? All right, so let's look at the first one. Walking through walls. I've tried that a few times in my younger years when I was a little inebriated by the adult beverage. Didn't quite work out for me very well. Seems to work out okay with some spirits, though. Has anybody experienced seeing an apparition of a spirit walk through a wall?
You know, I saw that at the Hope House in Atlanta. We were down there for chemotherapy for my late husband, and a fellow was looking for someone by the name of Leroy, and I watched him walk quickly to leave the area we were in as I was screaming at him because he had scared me so badly, and he went through the door without opening it. Yeah.
And I've had that question asked all the time, oh my God, why did they walk through the wall? Here's some of the answers. Number one, the way the house or the building is now is probably not how it was back when they were alive. And they will make their way any way they can. Their energy, right? So they will go ahead and go through a wall because the wall wasn't there. It's like shutting a door. They can choose to shut a door. They can choose to do that. And you've had that happen to you at Octagon Hall.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, tell us about that. That's a fun little story. Go ahead.
Oh, goodness. Well, the first time you took us there, Devin and I, our son Devin, we were walking through as you were giving us the tour. And as we walked through the surgical room, Richard went ahead of us through the little hallway, and Devin and I heard this door handle jiggling, and we thought, oh, we're going to miss something. And, I don't want to miss anything because I'm nosy and a teacher. And so I'm standing there waiting for someone to come out to talk to or to go into another part of the house. And the door opened and abruptly stopped as I screamed for Richard.
Yeah, I had been to Octagon Hall before. We just had an event there. Great event. We had great people show up. We love y'all for showing up. If you're on this show tonight, say hey. Let us know you were there.
Hey, Craig.
But the first time I had been there 2 or 3 times prior, and I knew of the abilities of that house, that building, but you guys hadn't. So I was just going to make my way through to the next room, what they call the green bedroom. And that door opened up, and I actually heard, I was ahead of you by like 3 or 4 feet going into the next room, and I heard the door handle jiggle. I heard the doorknob jiggle, and then I heard the shrill scream of my wife, and so that happens a lot at that location. But man, that was a great event. I really think we had a great time. I think our guests had a great time, and we got the next one coming up April 1st.
I'm so excited to face my demons. Real quickly, babe, Ron Parrish asked, he said, doors seem to move more easily. Does anyone have a theory why?
Yes, I do, because they're easily movable. They're on hinges most of the time. And, I think it's done for 2 different reasons. There's 2 different ideals behind why they do it. Number one, because they can, and it's easy to do. Number 2, it's also to kind of intimidate you, show you a little something. I mean, why else? They don't have the need to walk through the door. They don't have to open it to go through it. But I believe, based on my experience, that it's kind of one of those things where they will open and close the door to kind of show, look what I can do. Kind of thing, look what I can do. And they'll do that, or they'll do that to intimidate you. They'll do that to kind of show you what their abilities are.
When they did it at Octagon, when they did it at Octagon Hall, it didn't really scare us
Mario.
as much as it got our attention. Hi, Nikki. And let us know, hey, we're here and we're ready to communicate, which was pretty awesome.
Sherry, good to see you.
Yes, Carmen, when mannequins move, yes.
Yeah. And it runs a kind of a mannequins are moving in Octagon Hall. So there's also the fine line, I think, too, that kind of gets drawn with the whole walking through walls, opening doors, is moving objects. And that kind of, it gets to a point where if it's moving a lot of objects, it's probably a poltergeist, which we're going to talk about later. But I get the feeling that, sometimes I'd like to move. I've had situations in active locations where I've had equipment pulled out of the box and put on the floor. I've had that. I've had keys in a haunted location when I was sleeping and actually put my keys on a nightstand. I get up in the morning and they were gone, and then somehow they made it into my shoe. So, one of those kind of things.
Well, we lived in a house before the house that we live in when the boys were a little bit younger. Logan's, his retainer went missing, and we had looked for it everywhere. Friends had been there. She had completely stripped the bed, remade the bed, flipped the mattress, and when the next time I went to do it, his retainer was sticking halfway out from under the mattress, and the bottom retainer was in a book, completely shut in a book, and we have no idea how those got there. I had bottles of perfume that would go missing, and they would be gone for 6 weeks, and then they would show up in a really odd place, like right in the middle of the floor, and you're like, how did that get there? And it hadn't been there for 6 weeks.
Well, and Chrissy Parrish, I've known her for a long time. She said it's symbolic that the spirits are open to talk. I can go with that. I don't think we ever will know all the answers. So I think, whatever answers we are able to garner from experience and whatnot, I can see that happening too. I can.
Mario, it's great when you're sitting there and you watch them move. It's fantastic. You have no idea. Especially in a small area like down in the kitchen in the basement of Octagon Hall. And they have 2 mannequins to represent the kitchen workers, aka slaves from that time period. And the one in the back, she'll start rocking from side to side. And the one in the front, she literally, her eyes follow you everywhere you go, and you're just waiting for her to open her mouth and speak, to the point that I actually put a finger up and said, ma'am, if you speak to me, I may pee.
Well, Ron said in a conversation point about the doors, he said, my theory is either they prefer the door open or closed at that point in time. It could be too. Again, it could be a bunch of different things. They could also be telling you they want you out.
Ron also said jarring the door may be to draw attention.
Yeah. Ellen. Hey, Ellen.
Hey, Ellen.
The spirit walks through a person. Is it trying to get energy from the person trying to possess a body, or just floating through? All right. So there's a lot of reasoning for that. Yes, spirits have drawn energy from me. They draw energy from people. That's why you feel like somebody beat your ass with a bat in the morning. That's what they call a paranormal hangover. So a lot of times they will sap energy from you. I had did it one time to prove a point to me that she could do it.
You have a beautiful EVP of that.
Yeah. And then, they could just be floating through. If you have residual energy of a person that is seen as an apparition walking up and down the hallway at 10 o'clock every night, that energy is still made, that spirit is still made up of energy. So if you happen to be at the right time, the right place, and you come into clash with it, you're going to feel it, but it doesn't even know you're there. So, yeah, there's a million of reasons why.
And the paranormal hangover that you're talking about, that is so real. I know our entire team had a serious paranormal hangover after Octagon Hall.
Yeah. Mario said moving mannequins. I thought moving dolls was better enough.
Yes.
Yeah, and we know, I mean, let's be realistic. We know that the spirits are moving the mannequins to kind of like show off or to kind of impress or scare us. We know that. All right.
Hey,
but it's still creepy as hell watching a mannequin be manipulated, and you're not seeing what you can see the energy, you can feel the energy, but to watch a mannequin's hands move, arms move, face move. I mean, we've got some pretty compelling footage that Lori took when we were at the event that night.
We have the nurse looking straight ahead at the onset of the evening, and by the end of the night, her face was over here saying, "What? What did you say?" Looking the complete opposite direction. You might want to pin Nikki's comment up there about the type of energy involved.
Let me see if I can pull it up.
Says the type of energy involved is fascinating, and learning to interrupt it is an ongoing process. Are there classic indications of spirits wanting to connect versus being a residual situation? The teacher cannot read tonight.
That's okay. Yeah, fascinating, and learning to interpret it is ongoing. Yeah, I think again it all kind of goes back to you think you know enough and know it all about paranormal investigations activity. What we know enough to fill a thimble. We do. And it could be that a spirit wants to connect. I have seen it as a threat of get out. I have seen it as a direct line of you need to get the hell out. I was in a situation in a building years ago, and I was there with my investigation team then, and we had a door literally go whoosh. And I'm like, did you want us to leave? Is that why you did that? Class A pieces, get the hell out. So it was just kind of his way of saying, goodbye. Don't need you here. Just go on. But it could be a million reasons. They may just, again, want to show off. It could be. But I think
I'll show some love out there to Stephanie Munn, our beautiful niece tonight.
Hey, Steph. What's going on? So yeah, I mean, I think again, there's a million reasons why. You just have to. I think it's all a matter of understanding the content of the situation, what's going on.
Sherry, that was Octagon Hall in Franklin, Kentucky.
Trying to interpret what a spirit means by doing something like that, I think requires a little more research, requires a little more questioning. Rod said they can only draw the energy you give off. If you say you cannot use my energy, it becomes much more difficult for them as that creates resistance. Correct. You have to remember, guys, look, a monologue is a better way to control a situation than not. And quite oftentimes, spirits don't want to come across threatening. They don't mean to. But we have to understand as well, they need thermal heat or energy to continue on. So you're a buffet. But if you say, here's my hand, no, you can't. No, you can't touch me, and no, you can't take my energy. Let's not even offer our energy, okay? Let's not even.
Then you get jumped by a low-level demon and have to have an exorcism performed.
And that happens. Yeah, so that happens.
All right, so Cassie says, has there ever been a spirit that followed you home after your investigations?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you can do everything you can to try to keep that from happening, but it's really a funny thing. As a psychic medium, it's extremely hard for me to read me. So when we got home from a particular investigation, Lori had an attachment. And when I came to a clear sense of mind, what was it, the next day, I think it was?
Yes.
We went ahead and saged her and cleansed her and got the attachment released. She did a salt bath, and that did it. But typically, like in our events, for example, when we do our events, I have a real open forum to be able to read the energy of the people coming out of the building for the night. And if I feel you have a little something going on, we'll go ahead and offer to cleanse you. We don't charge for that, but we go ahead and offer to cleanse you so you can go home and not drag the crap with you. I think we're one of the only event companies that do that.
And I've actually watched Richard pull someone out, stop what he's doing, pass his recorder to someone else, pull someone out, whether it's a guest or a team member, take them outside and sage them And I've even seen him ban someone from a very dear friend, from the
Friend of
rest of the
ours.
investigation that night because she was being manipulated by a spirit. And so he cleansed her, got her some sugar, some Advil, and sent her home.
Yeah. It's really a point where if the person is too open, and we've got one in our team that is working on that, but he's really open. And if you're really open, you are just open for anything with the spirits. So you've got to be really careful. I've had to yank him out a couple of times, cleanse him, put him back in. But he's learning how to kind of block for himself, which is good.
And he's doing really well.
Yeah, we had a good friend of ours that was on a tour, wanted to do this thing, and again, she got jumped, and then we pulled her out. I saged her, I cleansed her, and then seeing where she was at, emotionally, mentally, I made the call to say, "You're not going back inside." And I was a pretty unpopular guy that night.
Even our youngest son, he is ghost bait. His shirt for the Haunted Travelers actually reads, "I am ghost bait for the Haunted Travelers." And not only have we seen the shadows run through walls, we actually watched a shadow run through him at one of our investigations. And it was like a football tackle. It sent him into the air as the shadow detector went off and he hit the floor. And another team member watched it happen.
Yeah. And there's really not a whole lot you can do about that until after it happens. But he is so open. Our son is so open and so sensitive that he became fodder. I mean, he literally.
Nikki, 100%. Nikki says, "I truly believe it is so important to get your team centered and in the right frame of mind prior to any investigation. When one is in a bad place or just off, identify it, own it, and take a knee if necessary, rather than bring toxic energy to the investigation and to speak up." And, Nikki, a lot of the times we begin and end our investigations with prayer. And Richard's really good about checking in to say, "Hey, are you sure you can do this?" We have another teammate that lost a very close personal friend, and she hasn't really been able to join us. She joined us at our last event, but she's kind of not been going to those. We're not sure if she's going to join us at the next one simply because she has some personal stuff going on with where she lost her best friend. So,
well, let me bring up Mario's question and statement real quick. He says, "My team had an investigation yesterday at residential property. I couldn't attend, but they had so much going on and it appeared to mainly resonate with the mothers on the team, leading to the belief that children's spirits were more receptive to the mothering energies as they would not respond to the male or feminine energies."
And, Mario, they do. They respond to mothers. They respond to teachers. But I will caution you to be very careful with that because when we filmed our documentary, Finding Purgatory with Lazy Donkey Films, on the third floor of the Walking Horse Hotel, a child spirit presented to me. And I actually reached my hand out and asked her to take my hand. And it was not a child. It turned out to be a low-level demon. Yeah,
and that's a controllable situation, or we wouldn't have an event there. If it wasn't a situation where it would have been okay if Lori hadn't opened up to do automatic writing.
Yes.
But she's a trans medium, and what that simply means is that she's kind of like the days back when we had to use the VCR to watch TV and a movie. The VCR had to be on. She's the VCR. So unfortunately, she got jumped and partially possessed because that guy saw an open door for her, and he did that.
And Richard even reached out to Cindy Kaza and asked her, because she does the automatic writing and she's phenomenal, and asked how I could start protecting myself. And Michelle, our guest that was on the Crystal Lady here about last week, 2 weeks ago, maybe, she sent me wonderful protection crystals. And I've learned to set up some boundaries. And the experience was not so horrific that I don't want to go back to the Walking Horse. I didn't know what I was facing going in. I didn't know how to protect myself. And now that I know what I'm up against, I know what I'm going in there for, I won't be opening myself up like that. And there'll be some things that we do on some tours that we will not do on this tour simply for safety. Ellen has a great comment you might want to pin up about spirits and boundaries.
All right. Well, let me get through these other ones real quick that were ahead of her, unfortunately. Nikki says, I truly believe it is so important to get your team centered. It's something you brought up earlier.
Right.
And the right frame of mind prior to the investigation. All right. So just to briefly add to what point Lori made to that earlier, we have had situations where people have had personal issues that have not put them in the right frame of mind. And I have asked them point blank, are you sure that you're ready for this? Are you sure you're okay with this? Because if you're not, you don't need to go. Because of the one thing I will absolutely guarantee, that if the people on your team's minds are not synced, not good, not set, it's going to screw up your investigation, but worse, personally might screw them up. And they become, again, the paranormal fodder. Because in a spirit's mind, and I hate using this term, but it's the most accurate term. But in the spirit's situation, they become the weak link. So they then become the target because they are the weak link. And not that they are typically might ever be, but they are now at that particular time. So if you're not in the right frame of mind, please don't go investigating. Andrew, now, what if spirit doesn't necessarily attach to the person, but it still follows you to the location? Cleanse your house, cleanse your car. Cleanse. If it's not attached to you personally, it's there for the environment. Cleanse. Okay, you get a hold of somebody who knows how to do a good sage work, Palo Santo wood, salt spray, vinegar wipe down, whatever it takes. I've done house cleansings for years, but I would go ahead and just do that. Don't give it a limit. Salt bind the house and move on. So I would be glad that it's not attached to you personally, but yeah. All right. So Ron said, I would ask that you not cleanse me. You will sense the spirit with me. That spirit came with me, and he will handle the spirits or entities that try to attach. In fact, they have to respect him. Right. And when we cleanse people at events, Ron, you know, the only thing that's going to do is relieve you of the negative. All right. Things like family attachments, family, or what I call soul ties, family attachments, not going to have anything to do with that at all. But it is designed to get rid of the negative. One of my lines of cadence, as a matter of fact, is spirits of ill will and ill intent. So as long as the spirit that's with you is not of ill will or ill intent, that's not going to be an issue. I mean, I wouldn't sage you because you asked me to. That's a voluntary thing. If you wanted to come and knock at sage, my job is to tell you there's something going on. That's my job. Whether you decide to attend to that or not is entirely up to you. But we don't force anybody to get cleansed, but I'm going to offer it because it's prudent to offer it. Just something to look at there. All right. So Ellen's question. Do some spirits have boundaries of where they can go, like not being able to leave a house or property? Do the spirits have to attach themselves to someone to move from location to location? Good question. Yes, some spirits are bound, like they are to certain floors of a building or certain levels of a house. Yes. And normally it follows some level of energy that got them there to begin with. Okay, because what we have to truly remember is that spirits that are active in a house or a building or something, they are there because that energy is trapped there. That energy is marked in that place. So, not like they have much of a choice. I'm sure you all have heard on TV shows and whatnot, maybe in your own investigations, where spirits said, I'm stuck. You can move them on if you have the ability to do so and know how correctly. But yeah, they can. And then, yes, if a spirit attaches to you, it's because they're looking for a new host. And they will use your energy. They will mess with your mind. But yes, they will travel with you. Yeah.
So Chrissy Parrish has a great comment you might want to throw up there. Or actually question, not comment.
Who?
Christy Parrish, what is the most difficult scenario
That
you have
you encountered live person spiritual accommodation. I would have to say living person because I was a police officer and I was shot. Answering a domestic call, I was shot, and I thought I was going to die when I got shot. So that is probably the most difficult scenario I've ever had. In the paranormal world, was being attacked by a demon. That to me was probably scratched up. I was scratched up. He was squeezing my head. I mean, it was difficult. And honestly, something not against me is Lori. When she got popped up and that low level demon got on, I had to do a full exorcism on her to be able to get her released. I had to use every ounce of energy I had in training and whatever abilities God's given me to do so to get her out of it. But she was not her for probably about 12 minutes. And it was kind of scary.
I don't think I was me the rest of the way home because I still don't remember that night or the ride home.
Still recovering. Low-level demons, could they have been once human beings? Human energies that have been left in such a low vibrational state that they almost transform into something resembling or becoming these low-level demons. All right, let me touch on that because a lot of people don't. If you look up and take the time, because you're a very intelligent guy, Mario, so take the time and look up the 10 different levels of Wraith. You've heard on TV show The Wraith Chasers is the reason why they have that title. There are 10 different levels of Wraith. By the time that they get, as they get older, they get stronger. So they start out kind of being the kind of energy that'll stay in a quarter, and you might see them, you might not see them. On levels 1, 2, and 3. By the time you get to levels 4, 5, and 6, they become a little more physically manipulative, scratching, hair pulling. I've even seen them manipulate people's skin before. When you get to levels 7, 8, 9, 10, they become more cerebral, where a demon is very cerebral in its attack. A demon is extremely cerebral. A demon isn't going to sit there and go, oh, boo. They could care less about any of that. What they want is your mind and your soul. So that's it. But they can never be, they could never have been human because, of course, Satan was a fallen angel. And demons are kind of the minion. If you look in the Bible, they're called familiars. And that's kind of goes in the line of the Wraith and with low level demons. Again, another entity that gets stronger with age is a low-level demon, then it becomes a higher-level demon, then it becomes a nasty guy. But in real true perspective, you probably have been dealing with a Wraith because they are the people, they are the energies that want to be the demon, can't be the demon, but they're going to work real hard to feel like a demon. And what does a demon do? Terrorize people any way humanly possible. But it's just kind of one of those things where, true in my experience, so I could be, people have a million different answers, and I might even catch heat on this, but here's the reality of it. There aren't that many true demons. Okay, read through the Bible and whatnot, there aren't. But, there are a huge amount of wraiths that get nasty, and they were human at one time. This is kind of what you're talking about. You're talking about something living in a lower vibrational level and operating a lower vibrational level. That sounds to me like a wraith. But I mean, look it up. I'd be kind of curious to see what you think about that. There's 10 different levels of it. I've been through it. I went through it 12 years ago and learned a ton about wraiths. All right. So Stephanie said, my bestie Margaret and I will be on your very first on it. Okay. All right. It had nothing to do with the question. I'm sorry. I just saw it and went.
Well, she says they need help with protection and preparing.
That's what we do. At the end of the tour preparation, I would probably tell you
Stephanie, don't sage before you come. Do not sage before you
No,
come.
don't, because that'll kill your ability to be able to capture any evidence at all. Because if you sage, they're not going to have anything to do with you. And don't worry about the sage and the hagstones. We always have a cleansing kit that we bring to every event. And this event is an 18 and over event. This is not a joke. This is a very active location. We've seen, just to give you an example, we have had doppelgangers come in there.
Mimics.
We have heard mimicking. We have heard disembodied voices. We have seen shadow figures.
Carmen got scratched.
What's that?
Carmen got scratched.
I mean, Carmen one of our investigators got scratched.
There was an anomaly in where the grand staircase used to be that we caught on the Ghost Tube SLS camera, and it was over 8 foot tall.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not a joke. It's very serious. That's why we're going to be on the highest of alerts to, talk through that, because I think that's really, really important. All right. So briefly, I want to cover another subject real fast.
Before you jump, I wanted to point out what Ron had to say. He said, the person you refer to as fodder is easy game for energy. Those with negative energy attract negative energy and will affect an investigation, resulting in less activity. And Ron, 100%. On our last investigation, we actually had a group of people that wanted to mock the spirits. They had a flashlight app that they were operating remotely from their phone, turning a flashlight on and off, and they thought it was all just a big joke. Okay. And the group that they were with, they were not getting the evidence that they were looking for. And once that group chose to leave, the evidence ramped up. The spirits would not interact with them while those people were there.
Yeah, it ran up like a crazy person. Activity started coming from everywhere. And that's kind of the thing. We talked about this on the show a ton of times. The people in your group can squelch your activity in a heartbeat. If the energy doesn't gel right, they can squelch your energy in a heartbeat in the investigation, absolutely screw you up. We hope and we pray that when we bring people on these events and they come out, that they're prepared with an open mind to kind of listen, kind of learn a little bit too. I know everybody's probably done some form of investigation before, and we're not saying that we are the experts. But the one thing I will tell you is there's certain behaviors that I will not put up from a group. And, certain behaviors I won't tolerate, and I'll ask you to go home. If I feel you're being disrespectful to the spirits in the building, if I feel you're being disrespectful to other guests, if I feel that you are purposely trying to scare the people you're with because they're not the only people there, I'm gonna tell you to quit once. And I'm going to go ahead and ask you to leave the second time. I won't even give you an opportunity, and I will not give you a refund. It's just like same thing, for example, with alcohol and drugs. You come to one of my events, and I'm a former cop, so I'm going to know. I'll tell you that right now. If you come to one of our events drunk, high off your ass, I'm going to let you in the building, and you're not getting a refund. That's just the way it works, because there are too many dangers, too many things that'll come into play that we have to be concerned with. And everybody else around those folks who pay the hard-earned money to be there have a fair right to enjoy themselves.
And Stephanie, don't be scared. If I am willing to go back to this building, Stephanie, that should tell you that you don't need to be afraid of anything there. No. If you have some black tourmaline, carry it with you, or some selenite, or even rose quartz, that will help you. But I'm not afraid to go back there. I'm really glad to be going back now that, I know what I did wrong that night was opening myself up and not having my protection set in place, being a trans medium, asking the spirit to touch me. And then when I do the automatic writing, what you have to understand is I'm taking my glasses off. By the way, I'm like legally blind without glasses. I'm closing my eyes. I'm opening up a sketch pad, and I just start writing what I'm hearing from the spirits, literally. And because I'm a trans medium, they will actually take over my hand. And when you go back through my notebook, because I keep it, when we were doing that with a child spirit, my handwriting actually looks like a child is writing. I engaged with a slave recently, and the spellings are crazy. I'm an elementary school teacher. I have a doctoral degree. There's no reason for the spellings to be off, but I'm not even aware of what I've written. So there's nothing for you to be afraid of. I should not have opened myself up like that in an unfamiliar building.
Yeah.
That was on me.
And the thing of it is, honestly, if you come to one of our events, all right, and you feel insecure about hanging out with people that you don't know or investigating in certain places, our groups always have at least two leaders, two people in the group that are our staff, that are our team, that are going to be there. You want to investigate, you feel much better investigating with Lori and I? Okay. We have no problem with it because we wouldn't put people in a position publicly that are, no offense, some are neophytes, right? Some are new to this. Some have just seen it on TV, and that's kind of all they've ever done. That's not a problem. But the thing is, we will not do the things that kind of led us down that road of communication with that spirit. We won't do them in the public.
And Stephanie, there's honestly, Stephanie, there's nothing to be afraid of in this building. If it were not safe, we would not be hosting a public tour there. And not only that, but any of our investigative teams that you get put with, whether it's Devin and his wife, Sydney, whether it's Carmen and her son, Aaron, he's our son too, our paranormal son, or Jason and Wanda, we have an amazing team. They are incredible. Everyone has their own set of strengths. They're all people. I mean, they really do. They like people. They're easy to talk to. And you're going to probably feel comfortable regardless of which team you're on, because they are all absolutely incredible.
Yeah. Cassie, I understand you probably have the gift or several gifts, actually, is what I get from you. But the thing of it is, again, just like we said, Stephanie or anyone else, if you're more comfortable coming and hanging with, again, Lori and I, we don't have any problem with that. We're going to have to take 10 people with us. And that's just going to be, to me, I'd rather have it be all people who have never done this before. But
And Ron, I agree. Don't research the place before you go.
No, don't do that.
We don't do that. With Richard being a psychic medium, I have some psychic medium abilities that I am really learning. Richard is helping me learn how to understand and use. And so we do not research the buildings before we go. We like to do a psychic walkthrough. And that's where Emily got me at the Walking Horse Hotel.
Yeah. Well, the thing of it is that, every experience is probably best left to when you walk through the door. Because, again, the energy might not be the same.
Correct.
We may go in there and it may be very, very calm, quiet. It might be people who want to say hi. It doesn't mean anything because the energy changes. Energy, as we've talked about on this show a million times, is cyclical. It'll go through to be a different stage, to be a different energy, and it could be absolutely, because I have been to the Walking Horse Hotel now 6-7 times, and I've had different experiences every time I've been there. It happens, So I mean, it's going to be. You're going to be fine. We protect I actually personally, as well as Lori, I know for a fact, take your personal safety very serious.
Yes.
Yeah. So I watch everybody. I watch everybody. And if I think we need to step outside, you'll be escorted outside so you can get a breather or whatever. We do have that ability. That's why we have 2 people running each team of the tour. So that way one of us has got to step away. With a guest, we can. So, yeah.
And I think we've all been trained for cleansing, haven't we?
All of you have been trained? Yes.
Yes, to cleanse. I think everyone except Sydney. I don't think we've trained her yet.
Not yet, but she'll get there. Cassie said, I never did an investigation at all, but I have had my share of paranormal. The paranormal. As my grandmother told me, I was born with a veil over my face, just like my father. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I would tell you, this is honestly, it's really, again, the name of the event is called The Last Ride. And that is because the people who have bought this building out from the current owner want nothing to do with the paranormal at all. They won't allow it. So this is absolutely the last anything paranormal that's going to happen at that building. And I'm going to tell you, it's going to be a real waste. I'm going to hate the fact that we're not going to be able to get back in there again. But I'm going to tell you, if you want to have an experience of a lifetime, it's the Walking Horse Hotel. Because there is not a facet of the paranormal that is not in action there. Not a facet. So if you want to experience, again, disembodied voices, got it. Shadow people, got it. Apparitions, got it. Doppelgangers, yep, got it. Mimics, oh yeah, sure, not a problem. There's even an elemental on the property too. So, there's a lot going on there that'll never get experienced by anyone ever again. You have the opportunity on this event to be a part of its history. And that's not a line, that's the truth. I mean, a lot of places are still active paranormal locations. Yeah, they're going to be open. You're going to be able to go investigate them if you want to. This will be the last event ever on April 1st. And the money's going back to the owner because, in all honesty, she took a bloodbath buying the building a little over a year ago. And, we're trying to help her recoup a lot of her loss. We do a lot of this in the only the effort to get back to the location. For example, Octagon Hall, all they had to do was unlock the doors, turn the lights on, and leave us alone. And, they did pretty well that night for themselves. We're here for the building. We're here for the spirits. So I think this would be an incredible opportunity, Cassie, to be able to get you to come out and enjoy something like this in a controlled environment. You're not doing it alone. And again, just like we told Stephanie, if you would rather hang with us, sure.
And we'd love to help you kind of explore your abilities some.
Sure.
Our oldest son, Devin, the first trip to Octagon Hall, I always knew he had, my mom called it the second sight. And she always said we were fae. And I knew he was, but he had not embraced it until we took that first trip to Octagon Hall with him. And he kept saying, that was way more confirmation than I needed. That was way more confirmation than I needed. And you'll find when you get around like-minded people who have abilities, it will enhance what you have going on. Thanks for that, babe.
You're welcome, honey. And Ron brings up a good point as well. Go in well rested. Give yourself some rest. Get in there. Don't be going in sleep deprived, because that puts you in a different mindset completely. Yes. He's right. The other thing I also recommend, as strange as it sounds, and I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV. I would tell you to take you about 3 or so ibuprofens before you begin. That will actually lessen the effect of the paranormal hangover if you get one. It also will keep you from feeling sore. It'll keep you from getting headaches. It works. Trust me. I call it pre-medding. And we pre-med every time we go somewhere.
Except at Octagon Hall, because one of us didn't remember to take her ibuprofen first.
Oh, shut up.
So we need to move along. What's with the growls there, Mr. Richard?
So, somebody said it gives me chills since we are from the area. It's not like the Margaret and I won't be driving past there for the rest of our lives. Yeah, Cassie, be in a group with Rich and Lori. All right, well, thank you.
Pump up the vitamin D, right, Ron?
Pump it up. All right, so the next class of conversation I want to bring up is what's with the growls? And I've had to explain this to so many different people. Growls can be what they are, right? They could be a spirit, showing their displeasure in a situation, displeasure that you're there, displeasure that you're investigating. You know what it could also be? That could be the only thing that spirit can do.
Cassie said,
what's that?
Sorry, Cassie said she can, I see, I feel, and I can hear them when I allow it, thanks to my grandmother. So my question to Cassie would be, Cassie, are you hearing them? Are you communicating with them when you're asleep? Or can you hear them when you're awake? Because if it's when you're asleep, it may be that you're a trans medium, but if you're awake, that's called clear audience.
Yeah, because they'll come to you mostly in your sleep, because that's when your subconscious is most open. So there is that. But with growls, so again, it could be all that spirit can do. They're not all, given the ability or have learned the ability or can channel the ability to say, hey, get out, or hi, or leave me alone, or who are you? They might not be able to do anything other than grunt or growl. So it doesn't always mean a negative when you hear that. It could be something not really even so much positive, but it could be something else that they just can't get out.
And it could be that they don't have enough energy. Maybe they have been lighting up one of your pieces of equipment and they have exerted their energy. And when they try to speak, that's what you get. Ellen has a great thought.
Yeah. So in deep thought, I think it's time for me to go to bed. Yep, it is, Ellen. You need to go to bed. If someone has a bad person in life or made the proverbial deal with the devil, is that what becomes a demon or a wraith? Or are demons their own species? I've heard the argument that people come back as angels versus angels are not form of humans, but a race of their own. Okay. So it depends on which angle you look at it. Okay. In my training, my belief, my experience, a demon is a demon. They never were a human. Now, a wraith is a person who is taking a wrong turn for their metaphysical lives and has gone ugly, has gone dark. An angel, on the other hand, is different titlings for angels. For example, one is called a harbinger angel, right? So a harbinger angel could be a spirit whose only real job in your house, like I had on one occasion with an investigation, is to keep your children safe. So what was happening, I got a call from a client. I'll go down the story real quick. I don't want to bore you guys, but I went down to answer this call and this client down to her house, and I said, what's going on? She had a 6 or maybe 7, 8-month-old child. And the bedroom for the baby was upstairs. And she not only had, the crib trying to get the child in, but she also had a baby gate at the top of the stairs, right? And along the stairway was a lineup of pictures of the family. Nice little home. She said, those pictures will fly off the wall. My tea kettle in the kitchen will hit the floor. Okay. When did this happen with the pictures? Well, I get to the pictures. I hear the stair. I hear the pictures crashing. I look at the stairs, and there's my child, my baby, up against the baby gate, pushing it in. And what about the second scenario with the tea kettle? Oh, now it's just, pulling itself up on the stove. And I had a short communication with the spirit in the house. And, it was a woman who unfortunately passed without being a mother and wanted to always be a mother. And her job at that point, she felt, was to protect the kids or the kid in the house, protect the family. So, I mean, she even went as far as telling me, the spirit went as far as telling me she didn't like the TV shows that she was watching while the baby was in the room. So it was all centered around the child and the protection of the child. But it doesn't necessarily mean she was an angel. Angel, again, is sent from heaven. They're the workers of God. And I believe those are available too. I think those are out there. Do I ever think they're human? No. I think, though, again, a lot of it is your interpretation of what your faith is telling you that you have to also look at. Okay, because some faith will tell you there's nothing but angels and demons. So that thing you're chasing around in this empty building is a demon because it appears itself, it appears after death. Well, that would make Christ a demon. So we're not true there, are we? But again, it depends on your faith belief, your faith base, as far as the angel category goes. But there are some spirits I have told people in investigations in the past, point blank, you don't want this spirit to leave the house. They have a job. They have a job, and they're doing their job, and you need to be thankful that they're there. You know what? I wouldn't even have a problem with it if you turned and said thank you. Because they mean no ill will at all, no harm. They just want to help. So, there's something to look at there. Yeah, and instead of bringing some other point, depending upon the weather, April 1st, you might want to bring a jacket. Although we won't be outside very much, but you might want to bring a jacket.
And wear tennis shoes. There are lots of stairs that you're going to be climbing, and a porta pot.
Yeah, and a porta pot. All right. So Cassie said, I used to play with two spirit sisters every day, but at the time I didn't know it until my grandmother said, do not walk off with them. Yeah.
Richard, Cassie also said when she was little, she would communicate with them while she was asleep, and she would hear them while she was awake. And Cassie, I would say that you've probably been blocking them really hard. I know I did that myself. And I would literally say to the spirits, I only want to see it or hear it if it's from God. Because Richard and I do have Christian faith. We do believe in God. We don't play with Ouija boards. We actually had that asked of us on an investigation if we worship the devil. And no, we do not. We are Christians. We do believe in the power of prayer. And we do believe that this is a gift we've been given. And the Bible even tells us that we are given power or dominion over the spirits.
Yeah. And I will tell you, based on what we're seeing in the conversation tonight, for example, the thing that you need to know if you don't know is your gifts, whatever you have is your gifts. They're a genetic line handout. Okay. Your mom had them. Your dad had them. Somebody had them down the line. Grandma, grandpa, great-ma, grandma, great-grandpa. But a lot of people just don't talk about it, right? Here's an example. My sister, God love her, she's going on 80, right? She never mentioned a word to me about the paranormal whatsoever until I started doing this, going on 20 plus years ago. Then for some reason, she felt comfortable and safe talking to me about the child with the blue shirt and the blonde hair that goes across the two bedrooms upstairs in front of the stairs. Yeah, it becomes comfortable, but it is something you get in your lineage. It's your genetic, right? It's your genetics. I got my abilities from my mom. She got them from her mom, and it just kind of ran down the line. It ran down the gamut. But it is.
I got mine from my Aunt Kay on my father's side. I got them from my Aunt May on my mother's side, and quite a few people on my mother's side, actually. And I remember, Cassie, as a child, that my mom, when I would watch the Civil War soldiers walk through our pre-Civil War house in Haymarket, Virginia, because I grew up playing on the battlefields at Bull Run, I could remember my mom telling me there was no such things as ghosts. Then as I got older, she would say, well, girl, you always have had the second sight. And then when my husband passed away, she said, well, you've always been Faye. And I said, Mama, Faye, what are you talking about? I don't even know what you mean, Faye. And she's like, baby, you've always talked to the dead. You've always seen them. You've always communicated with them. And by this time, I'm 49 years old. And I'm like, Mom, what the hell? Like, you've let me go through my entire life thinking that none of this is real, and I probably have mental illness. And now you're like, oh, yeah, baby, this is normal. It runs in our family. You've been doing it all our lives. And then I realized I pretty much did the same thing to Devin. When he would tell me he saw people in the house and everything, I would say, oh, baby, it's okay. They're not real. And then after he would go to bed, I'm like, great, he has the abilities that I have. And I'm just now, thanks to Richard, learning to help him manage his abilities as Richard is helping me learn to manage mine.
Yeah. Yeah. Ron made a
comment. Carmen, and I don't run.
Right?
Carmen said, if you bring out a Ouija board, this fat girl's going to run.
Yeah, we're not bringing out a Ouija board. Ron said, for the newbies, please do not ask the spirits if you can help them cross over. That doesn't happen on our events, but I wouldn't do it in real life anyway by yourself. Have some years of training first before you do that. Yeah, Cassie said, yeah, I've been blocking them. Stephanie said Christian and also won't touch Ouija boards. No. And it'll so let me just kind of explain that first of all. I have never been a believer in the Ouija board in certain situations, especially because a lot of the time people don't know how to close them after they open them up. Number one. Number two, a lot of buildings, like, for example, the Walking Horse Hotel that we're having our event out in April 1st, doesn't need a Ouija board for any kind of activity. Now, if you don't bring one, if you bring one, I'm going to tell you to go ahead and put it back in your car.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen. So no.
And you have to know how to properly close the circle on those Ouija boards, or else you open yourself up to some pretty nasty things. And Cassie, I absolutely understand that. People do think you're crazy. As a matter of fact, when I first met Richard, and I said to him, so what's up with this whole ghost adventures thing? Like, are you into the paranormal? Like, I didn't say, hey, by the way, I talk to dead people.
Yeah.
Until he kind of started opening up and he was like, I'm a psychic medium. And I was like, really? Because I talk to dead people on the regular. And, my kids knew it. My family, my mom and her aunts knew it. And my mom had abilities too that she kept hidden from me. And then after she died, a lot of things made a lot more sense to me.
And Jen said, yes, my mom never talked to me about spirits. And eventually she told me she had a spirit hold her down. It blew my mind. Yeah, it's kind of funny. For example, I did a filming at a city-run location some years ago. And we had to go to the city council. And if anyone's ever had that job, God bless you. Because you got, especially in the South, oh Lord, there's some Bible-toting people up in there. Anyway, so the council got done. They approved our filming. Yay. So we're standing there, of course, there's this sudden lineup of people that want to talk to us. And I'm like, oh, they're just going to give us crap about the paranormal. They got all the way through the people that said, man, that's really interesting. Hey, I can't wait to see what you guys do. And came down to the mayor. And the mayor came to me and said, I have something going on in my house too. But it's so funny how when you open that door of communication, how people just lose it. Like I can't go, it's against the law somehow in my mind to go to a restaurant or whatever before we do investigations and not wind up reading somebody. I feel sorry for my team because it happens almost every single time we go out. We'll wind up, I'll wind up reading somebody, but it's just the way it is.
We're used to it.
Yeah, so we had to be careful. She said, look, when you say something, people will think you're crazy. So I kept quiet. Richard was the first person out besides my grandmother I have talked to about it, especially the entity that was bothering me. Yeah. The one thing I will tell you, though,
Go ahead, baby.
The one thing I will tell you, you've got to be careful with you. If you have abilities, you really, really need to exercise those. Because what honestly can happen, in all honesty, is that they can put so much pressure on you metaphysically and in your mind, they can drive you crazy if you don't get rid of it. It's like now when I get a read, or I guess it comes right out of my mouth. Boop. I don't even think twice because so much comes at me. I've had to show Lori how to block herself. I've had to show her how to calm herself down at night before she goes to bed. You have to put some management on it, but you also have to learn how to let go of it. So if you get a message from somebody that drop it on them. Say, hey, just say, have you thought about this? Or, hey, what do you think about this? Let it go, because if you let it build up and build up and build up, not only does it screw up with your anxiety, big time. Okay?
And, Cassie, it's hard because I am a public school teacher and I teach 5, 6, and 7-year-olds. And just recently, I had one of the little girls come up during class and say, are ghosts real? And I have to look at her and say, no, baby, they're not, because I'm a public school teacher. Mind you, this is, my hobby, and I know that they're real, but I can't scare other people's children. That's not my place. But I will also tell you, I agree with what Richard's saying about embracing and using those powers, because recently I was getting a message from a close friend's deceased relative and ended up having a full-blown out loud conversation with him. And I had to promise him he would not stop until I assured him that as soon as I was done what I was doing, I was going to call his son and say, hey, this is going to come across as crazy, but I have a message from your dad. And before I did it, there was a male energy hanging out in our house, and I pulled up a picture, didn't tell Richard anything about it, and just said, hey, do you know who this is? And he was like, hey, that's the dude that's been hanging out back there in the bedroom. And I'm like, oh, no, it was him. And so, I called the friend of mine and dropped a ton on him and told him that his father, who also, by the way, guys, was a minister, said to me, because I straight up asked him, because he has no connection to me where we live now. And I said to him, you don't know me from here. How did you find me? And he said, the spirits have marked you. And so that's how they knew where to find me, connect to me. He knew that if he could locate me and talk to me, that the message would get back to his son.
Right.
And it immediately did, because I could not contain that.
No. And it's, and that's not a marking that we really have to look at as a negative thing. That's kind of you are now a person that spirits understand, can see, feel, and hear, and are willing to deliver messages. And that's what we have to look at for that, in all honesty. Last comment on this, Cassie said, I don't move unless God has deemed me to do so. Okay, that's good. Well, let me tell you, God gave you the gifts.
Exactly.
So you need to use them. Any talent, as the Bible says, that God has given you, you have to utilize.
And Cassie, it sounds like you might also have the gift of discernment. I work with a lady who has that gift, and it is an incredible gift. And if you have that, it would be a sin not to use it.
Yeah, it's just something that you have to exercise. So let's move on to probably going to be the last topic, because we've only gotten through 2 the entire time we've done the show so far. All right, so poltergeist manifestation. Okay. There's a lot of, for some reason, it kind of comes across to me that it's about as clear as rocks in muddy water to some people. It's deemed that a poltergeist is, oh my God, a poltergeist. First off, poltergeist means nothing other than noisy ghost. That's what poltergeist means, is noisy ghost. Secondly, something that people need to understand is that it typically, I haven't seen it any other way, typically is derived, created by a living being. I'll have to let that sink in for just a second. That means that a living person has created a poltergeist. How do we do that? The biggest challenge to what I call a PK manifestation, poltergeist manifestation, the people who generate the majority that I've known and experienced are some adults. Most are adolescent females. Adolescent females. Why is that? Okay, anyone that has raised themselves a daughter, as a man, any lady that's on here, how tumultuous, how much in turmoil were your emotions during your adolescence? Things were absolutely nuts, though. You don't even have to tell me. I have raised 2 daughters, and things are nuts, though. Things are crazy, and you compress, and you compress, and you compress. Crap that goes on at school, you bring it home. You compress, you compress. Fights with a friend or a boyfriend, you compress, you compress. You don't talk to your parents, you compress, and you compress. Eventually, that energy has to go somewhere.
Hi, Brendan.
The what?
Just saying hi to Brendan. He popped in.
So eventually that energy has to expel out, and it turns into a PK manifestation. Now, they will continue to thrive on chaos in the house, fighting in the house, clutter. For some reason, clutter is a big gimme. If you got clutter and you got a lot of arguing going on in your house, and there's a lot of angry energy in the house,
any violence
in the house, that poltergeist is going to have a good time on that buffet. It's real hard to get rid of a poltergeist. It's really, really hard. And that poltergeist could be there from another person who lived in the house before you. But because of what's gone on in your house since you moved in, kept it fed. You literally have to change the essence of the energy in the home to really remove a poltergeist. But that's how crazy they get. And we've seen evidence with poltergeist. Doors opening, shades going up and down, stuff moving all over the place. All it is energy expelling itself. That's really all it is. It's kind of crazy. As somebody said, the first time I heard PK manifestation explained was Amy and Steve on Dead Files. Yeah. And it's really a lot of people just didn't know. They just didn't know that a poltergeist is man-made, a living person made. And that's pretty crazy to think of how much you put in, how much energy goes through you, emotional energy goes through you, that there's enough of it to create an energy in your home that'll start screwing with doors, lights, shades, whatever. That's pretty amazing. But that's what we're looking at when it comes down to, things of that nature with a poltergeist. All right. My favorite one to look at, EVPs. All right. So
before you jump off that, Ellen did have a question. She said, if it is manifested by a person, can they learn to control it? That is a scary thought.
Yes. And I will tell you, the person who created it, and again, I don't think it's ever done by malice. I think it's just a gathering of negative energy that's going on. To do so, that person again would have to really, really change the essence of who they are and their thought processes, their thought patterns, their emotional responses. They would have to change who they are on a consistent basis to lower the energy level of a poltergeist and to get rid of it. It is not easy. It is one of the hardest things I think I have ever in my life and my career have ever cleansed from. I have been able to eventually kill a poltergeist activity in one house. We're talking 26 years of doing this. I was successful one time. That's how hard it is. You got to go at it. 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 And again, it took the person in the house that created it. A little quick backstory. It was a lady that lived there. She had been, molested as a kid. God bless her. She married a bad guy. He used to get drunk and beat her up all the time in front of her kids. She survived that. But eventually that build up just came out in another direction. So eventually he got gone. Yay. Her emotional status changed. And we were able together to work together to be able to help get rid of it. But it was probably the hardest job I've ever had in this business. And I've been doing it a long time. Long time. Let's see. Carmen said in an old location of the salon, we would have lids fly off the trash cans, products falling off the shelves, etc. Right. Yeah, that sounds like a PK manifestation. They're just, as the titling says, noisy ghosts. Noisy ghosts. They are there to make noise, to manipulate stuff, whatever it takes, honestly, to drive you crazy is what they're going to do. And they will do it. It's an unreal event, but they will do it. All right, so quick conversation about EVPs because this night's dwindling down quickly. We do a tremendous work on EVPs as a team. We do a lot of EVP work during the events. I do something called an EVP blast, which is where I got a group of people that we're investigating with, and I'll ask 8 or 9 questions, and then I will give it 20 seconds or so to wait for the answers, and then we will play those back live. So you'll hear the answer, not having to wait on until the end of the night. You'll hear the answer as they happen. Because I think, it brings a level of gratitude from the spirits to be able to actually, people hear what they have to say. But I think also, too, it helps you be able to understand how active a place can be, where if you ask a question and normally it takes about maybe 15 seconds to get an answer, you're getting an answer right away. That's a very active place. That's spirit activity that wants to communicate. that it's willing to do that to be able to be involved. Now, what I will tell you is I wouldn't suggest you do it in your home. No, 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 and no. We have a rule in our house. We don't use any of the equipment in our house. We don't even turn on recorders except for to download them to the laptop and play them back from other investigations. We will not record in our own home.
Nope.
No. It may be a half-second thought when we get a new piece of equipment to try it out, but it's a no. It just doesn't happen.
We're even careful when we change the batteries in the equipment.
Yep.
Mario asks, why is it that we're capable of creating these extremely negative PK manifestations through extreme negative emotions, but the reverse doesn't happen? Why can't we create super light, bubbly, and beautiful entities external to us?
All right. So here's my answer on that. Now, I call it my trucker 2 cents answer. I would like to be able to say we all live in that kind of love and light. Okay? That's not true. We don't. We live sometimes in very dark times. Majority of people have very dark places that they go to for honest reasons. Okay? So albeit you might have times of being in the best of feeling and the best of, behavior in your life, but life has a way of saying that too shall pass. And, it has a way of bringing the darker days. Unfortunately, there's more energy involved in exhibiting darker behavior, I believe, than there is in exhibiting light behavior. I think the mind and the body and the emotional part of your soul has to dig deep and does dig deep when it comes to the darker side of the world. And I think that stays with us longer than the good times or the good behaviors. So as much as I would love to be able to say that's a possibility, unfortunately, I don't see it happening. Personally, I think in all honesty, I think people are just, they have things happen. Life happens. Forgive my language, but shit happens. And that'll put you in a bad frame of mind. Here's an example. Clear-cut, honest, transparent example. I don't feel well today. My wife doesn't feel well today.
I've been sick for a couple days.
I had asshole tendencies today. I'm honest about it. I don't care. And I do a lot of the apologizing because of it. Okay? Does not make me a bad person. It just, things happen. When you don't feel well, you don't get in the best frame of mind. You don't. You don't feel well. You want it to stop. You want it to go away. And, oh, God, by the way, I got to be up at, X o'clock in the morning to go to work. When I just would rather tell the world to go stick it. Can't do it. So I would like to be able to say, Mario, that's a good game plan.
Right.
Yeah. It is a good game plan to work towards. And if you do achieve it, I would like to have evidence behind it to back it up to hear it. I'd applaud you for it. I would love to be able to hear something like that happen in a good way. Really would. Okay. Good Lord.
So Brendan says that there's something about the Blair Witch, or not the Blair Witch, sorry, the Bell Witch.
The Bell Witch cave,
He says, I've heard for a long time rumors of John Bell acting inappropriate with Betsy Bell, which manifested the Bell Witch phenomena. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but I can't prove or disprove it either way.
Yeah. Well, and again, he says, continued on, says, I lived there most of my life, a few miles away from the cave, but I did something weird happen to me on the property there, but luckily it wasn't bad. Right. So again, this is another situation where you have some trapped energy, because I've heard the stories about the Bell Witch. I've heard how menacing the Bell Witch can be. And I believe that is a taking out, so to speak, on the people that are there with what she went through. You also have to, I think also have to look at the fact that, and again, forgive my language, but if people are an asshole in life, they are a major asshole in death. And it's just the way it's going to be. A lot of the personality doesn't change with death. It gets enhanced. So, because a lot of times, they can't see me. Oh, yeah. And they just say those are the kind of people they were in life. They're absolutely it is magnified in death. So you never know. Depends on how you're treated. You know, if I don't get my my sausage gravy and biscuits sometime real soon in the morning, I'm liable to become one of them people.
Here we go.
Here we go.
You know, I offered to make you sausage biscuit gravy stuff this morning, but you insisted since I wasn't feeling well, we didn't need to do that.
Right? Yeah, no. I was just trying to be nice to you and take you to breakfast, so we did that. All right, so let's bring up a topic of conversation real quick because I don't want to forget to do so. We are kind of winding down. We've got 10 minutes left. A little close to it. A little under 10 minutes left. All right, so we do have an event coming up. It is April 1st. It might be the last one for a little bit because we're trying to find locations that make sense to go to for the events. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. I have talked to a couple of different event centers, and they just want too much money.
Hey, Michelle. We're getting ready to talk about you.
So, I mean, here's the thing. I don't mind holding the event.
Right,
but I'm not going to charge. What?
Nothing.
Okay. I'm not going to charge or ask to charge you guys that want to go. I'm not going to ask you to pay $100 or higher for an event. That's crazy. That's not going to happen. I won't. And a lot of that time is because the event center or the location wants that kind of money. I won't do it. You know, I've talked to a couple of places to do an event, and I literally had sticker shock. How do you keep that affordable and a value when you're charging nearly $1,000 to rent the building?
And we prefer to give a donation back to the building for the preservation of the building rather than them charging us an exuberant amount that we have to pass on to our fans and to our customers. We prefer to say, hey, why don't we do a joint venture? Let us use your property. We'll split the ticket cost with you right down the middle so we can cover. An example, last weekend, we had to cover hotel rooms and a meal for our team because this is not our full-time job. We all work. We all have bills to pay. Everybody knows how that is. We charge just enough for us to be able to take care of our team. Everything else is going back to that building so that they can preserve the building, so they can do maintenance. Right. And in the case of the event we have coming up, it's to help the lady that's selling the building recoup some of the money that she has lost.
Yeah.
She's lost a bloodbath with that building.
She's lost a ton. But it is April 1st. It is the Walking Horse Hotel in Ward Trace, Tennessee.
And we have exciting news about that. Michelle Mitchell's on here. And just like at Octagon Hall, she sent us some wonderful pieces of crystal jewelry to raffle off to our guests. So if you are coming, you will have an opportunity to win one of her beautiful pieces. This is a rose quartz piece that wrapped in copper that we will be raffling off. And then this, I think this is absolutely beautiful.
The Venturine.
And then we will also
Sodalite.
Be raffling off the Sodalite. I need to work on my Vanna White skills. But as you can see, these are absolutely beautiful. They come in these nice tool pouches, pretty ribbon. And we'll be doing exactly what we did at Octagon Hall. As you come in, we'll be having you write your name on a piece of paper. We're going to put it in our basket, and we're going to draw a name. And when we draw that name, we're going to ask you to come up and to look at the crystals and choose the one that speaks to you. And once you've chosen your crystal, we'll tell you about that crystal and the properties just to see if that resonates with you. And at our last event, it did. And I'm also somewhat empathic. And one of the gentlemen that won the raffle last time, he kept eyeballing the rose quartz. And his wife, actually, her name was drawn ahead of him. And she chose. And she did not choose the rose quartz. And his name was actually pulled next. And he did choose that rose quartz. And when I was reading to him and telling him the properties of it, he began to get choked up. I wasn't even looking up at him. And I got choked up and almost started crying because I was picking up on the emotion that he was feeling just from me reading the properties of that stone.
Yeah. So, guys, those will be another giveaway we're going to be doing at the Walking Horse. So you can walk away with an incredible piece of, Michelle's crystal jewelry. I'm here to tell you she does a great job with it. But she's given us an inventory to be able to give away for this. But again, you have to go to the Haunted Travelers Facebook page. And that is the Haunted Travelers Facebook page. To be able to get a ticket there for the event. We only have 8 left. That's it. 8. And when they're gone because I will not flood the location with people. We don't run events like that. We're not going to bring in 150 people in a venue that only really holds 30 because we want more money. No. We do it so you can enjoy yourself. Yes. You could help gather some evidence. You could really get to learn something, possibly.
We also like to get to know our guests.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's really a great way for people to be able to meet up and have like-minded conversations, and what have you. And it's a good time. We try to make sure it's a good time for everyone. So, again, that is the Haunted Travelers. There is the Haunted Travelers Facebook page. Go to events, click on it, click on the Walking Horse Hotel is the only event that has anything going on right now. Get on those tickets while you can, because it's going to be a good time. A good time is going to be had by all, I guarantee it. Let's see here. Let's see. Brandon says, I pray I get my car back around the 1st. When I'll try to make it if the ticket is left. I hope so, buddy. I hope the ticket will be left for you. Then again, I hope not, if you know what I mean.
Was that a disembodied voice I heard?
Yeah, it was Richard's disembodied voice. I'm trying to peer pressure friends and family to buy the remaining tickets. Do that, girl. Bring it. Bring people you know. That's the fun part. Get it done together. Have a good time. That's the way I see it.
And you will have a good time.
Thank you.
We have a ball at our events.
Yeah.
And we do try to make it interactive and hands-on. We have pieces of equipment that we will allow guests to hold or to use. And we try to make it as interactive with everyone as we can.
Yes. I mean, we're really excited. Yeah. Carmen says that was the Richard Ruland.
That's right. The Richard Ruland, not to be confused with the Pawpaw.
Yeah, I had to explain that. Hey, Sherry, how you doing? I had to explain that. And I hope so, Mario. I hope one day you can make it. For some reason, we were in a restaurant called the Colorado Grill in Franklin, Tennessee. Kentucky. Having dinner as a team, getting ready to do our documentary. We're on our dinner break.
In our ghost hunting gear.
Yeah, in our gear. I mean, we had our jackets, we had our shirts. And we were sitting in a restaurant trying to enjoy our birthday with a couple of people on a team. And we literally had a lady walk over and go, how haunted is the Walking Horse Hotel? Really, really haunted? And she said, well, I'm following you guys. I'm stalking you. I'm like, oh my God.
And okay. I started to say, well, we're here because, I know. Y'all are going to Octagon Hall. You're filming Finding Purgatory. And I was like, I'm done. The boys on the other end of the table had me spitting Coke at another team member because they were talking about the next time we went to the gas station, they would get on either side of the lot or the store and one would yell, is that the Richard Ruland? So at Christmas, we had him a coffee mug made that reads The Haunted Travelers on the Richard Ruland. And the grandbaby that is 2 saw him coming across the yard and started yelling, Paw, the Paw.
They're killing me. They are. Nikki,
Hi, Ava. Thank you.
Nikki, it was sweet to say we had such an amazing time at the Ride Hotel with Richard and his team. It was so incredible. Yeah, I hate that they took that building
Yes.
away. They took it, the Chatsworth Depot away. They took a Hamilton House away. They just don't believe that the paranormal is a moniker that they want the building to have, and they felt they were afraid that somebody was going to get hurt eventually, even though you guys know you sign a waiver when you come on board with us.
We have some buildings that have asked for $1 million liability policy for us to have proof of that, and that's not in our wheelhouse.
No. Yeah, kind of crazy. So yeah, we really appreciate it, guys. We're at our time. We're beyond our time. So guys, we appreciate you very much. We thank you so much for sticking with us tonight and having a good time with us. And
look for our beautiful Katie to be back next week.
Yeah, we hope so. But I've had a blast doing this with you, hon.
It's been fun.
I mean, I know it's a long ways away between each other, like about 30 feet. But, it is what it is. Guys, we thank you all very much for attending, coming out and making your comments known. And hopefully we're able to bring you some information that might help you all out. We will talk to you next week. Take care of yourselves.